After a long while, Gu Ziner slowly came back to her senses, staring blankly ahead and muttering to herself, so all my death journal entries were for nothing. Indeed, if she couldn't defeat Fang Chen, what use were scribbling in her little notebook? The master of Fang Chen, first grade pavilion, smiled faintly, his tone full of satisfaction. This is a good thing. Our taking Grand State gains another fierce warrior. Should he successfully achieve divine transformation, I dare not imagine what level of combat power he will possess. He paused thoughtfully for a moment, then retrieved an exquisite jade box from his sleeve. With a gentle flick of his finger, the jade box slid silently across the table and came to a precise stop before Gu Ziner. He gestured with his hand and said calmly, "It's yours." Gu Ziner shrank back warily, staring at the box and firing off questions. "Give it to me." "Pavilion Master, you're the kind who charges for answering a question, and now you're giving me something. You must have some ulterior motive, right?" The master of Fang Chen, first grade pavilion, merely smiled without a word. Gu Ziner suspiciously opened the jade box, and a broken piece of a 9-colored nail immediately came into view. The nail was only half left, and the marks at the break clearly showed it had been a long time. Her beautiful eyes suddenly widened, and she cried out involuntarily, "The divine awakening nail, and the missing half from Fang Chen. Pavilion Master, how did you come to have it?" The master of Fang Chen first grade pavilion remained calm and said leisurely, "Is there anything in this world that our Fang Chen first grade pavilion cannot find? Give it to Fang Chen, so he can kill a few more enemies. Then this deal won't be a loss." Gu Ziner felt a warmth in her heart and even a touch of emotion, her voice softening. "Pavilion Master, you finally acted like a human for once. I'm so touched." The corner of the master's mouth twitched involuntarily. He said helplessly, "If you can't speak properly, then don't. All right, how many 5th grade spirit pills do you want?" Gu Ziner quickly stowed away the half of the divine awakening nail and immediately asked, "How many do you have, Pavilion Master?" 100? Yeah. Gu Ziner gasped sharply and pressed in disbelief, "Pavilion Master, where did you get so much money?" At this critical juncture, what did 100 5th grade healing spirit pills mean? Did it even need to be said? Each one was a life, saving treasure worth a city, beyond any amount of gold, let alone gathering a full 100 of them. Even draining all the resources of Fang Chen, first grade pavilion, might not have been enough to collect so many. The master of Fang Chen first grade pavilion smiled indifferently and said a few words lightly. "I recently closed a big deal. I have money." Meanwhile, over at the heavenly secret pavilion, Bai Luo's brows were already tightly knotted. She was frowning worriedly at the dying Star Palace Master on the ground. After nearly a month of Huang Quan's torment, the Star Palace Master finally succumbed to his onslaught. Her legs kicked out, and it looked like she was about to breathe her last. Huang Quan stood to the side like a child who had done something wrong, at a loss. His face was pale, his steps weak and unsteady. The once tall and muscular man was now so thin he looked like a stick. He carefully pleaded, "Bai Luo, please put in a good word for me with Fang Chen. I really didn't mean to torment the Star Palace Master to death. She wouldn't submit to me, so I just kept at it. The more she resisted, the more I did it. And then, doing it, she just expired." Bai Luo trembled with fury, wagging her finger at him. How can I possibly plead for you? I told you to take a concubine, and you messed it up. I gave you a chance, and you were useless. You're trying to anger me to death." Just as she was losing her temper, Fang Chen leaped down and landed right there. Noticing the tense atmosphere, he smiled and asked, "Sister Bai, Brother Huang, having a quarrel?" Everyone else was in closed door cultivation at the time, so when Fang Chen flew back, there was no one outside except the Tiger Demon Emperor and his wife keeping watch. Bai Luo's face lit up the moment she saw him, and she quickly responded, "Little brother Fan, you're back. Was your journey peaceful?" Fang Chen chuckled softly and replied, "All is well. Are you two all right?" Hearing this, Bai Luo gave Huang Quan a fierce glare, as if frustrated that he couldn't live up to expectations. But for the sake of their shared marriage, she gritted her teeth and pleaded, "Huang Quan has caused trouble again. The Star Palace Master is dying." Yeah. Fang Chen's eyes flew wide open, and only then did he notice the disheveled, barely breathing Star Palace Master lying behind Huang Quan. Wait, this is a hell beast. The vanguard emissary of the ancient giants, the releaser of the heaven, connecting black pillar, a ferocious creature from hell. It was actually done to death. Fang Chen looked at Huang Quan again, the admiration in his eyes instantly soaring to unprecedented heights. "Brother Quan, you're something else." Fang Chen gave him a big thumbs up. He rarely admired anyone, but Huang Quan had earned his genuine respect. This was truly a brave and true man. Huang Quan cautiously studied Fang Chen's expression and asked with a puzzled face, "You're not blaming me?" Fang Chen laughed heartily and waved his hand. "You rid the people of a scourge. I'm too busy praising you." Praise? Huang Quan was utterly bewildered. He had just done to death a sect leader of a medium-sized sect, and the matter just blew over. But the next scene would become the lifelong nightmare Huang Quan could never shake off. Fang Chen walked over to the Star Palace Master, a cold look on his face. "You've finally met your retribution." Before the words faded, a purple light flashed in his palm. The purple lightning sword instantly appeared, and a cold gleam swept lightly across the dying neck. A pretty head was immediately severed from the body. If not for these hell beasts releasing the heaven, connecting black pillars, how could the Taking Grand State have suffered such a catastrophe? Now, after being tormented to death by Huang Quan in the most shameful and agonizing manner for over a month, this was the retribution it deserved. But Bai Luo's heart lurched in fright at Fang Chen's action, and she cried out, "Little brother Fan, why did you kill her?" In her eyes, no matter what, Fang Chen would have tried every means to treat and save the Star Palace Master. She never expected Fang Chen to strike without warning, sword rising and falling. Fang Chen said nothing, simply watching the headless corpse intently. In the next instant, a shadow darted out of the corpse, making to flee into the void without a word. Unfortunately, Fang Chen had long been prepared. Half of its body still exposed, it was immediately immobilized by Fang Chen's soul-binding chain. Immediately after, it was forcibly dragged back by Fang Chen. Bai Luo stared closely and was instantly struck dumb. It was a palm-sized, extremely tiny black remnant soul. Its form was unmistakably that of a ferocious, terrifying beast, a hell beast. Bai Luo covered her lips in shock. How can the Star Palace Master's soul be a hell beast? Soon, out of the corner of her eye, she saw the corpse on the ground beginning to transform. The originally human body rapidly swelled and tore apart, and in the blink of an eye, it turned into a black corpse as towering as a mountain. And that beautiful, flower-like head also transformed into a monstrous beast head as large as a house. It was unmistakably a hell beast. Bai Luo screamed in terror, a hell beast? Fang Chen nodded gently and sighed. Hell beasts have a trait. Whomever they devour, they can gain their memories and perfectly transform into that person. It's nearly impossible to tell them apart. He paused, then continued. The Star Palace Master was eaten by a hell beast long ago, and it has been impersonating her ever since. Bai Luo's eyes were filled with utter disbelief. But that meant what Huang Quan had been doing for over a month was not with a woman at all, but with a hell beast. And a male one at that. She twisted her neck with difficulty to look at Huang Quan, and instantly, goosebumps erupted all over her body, a feeling of utter revulsion. Recalling those wanton sounds from the past month, her head felt like it was about to explode. Looking at Huang Quan again, all she felt was indescribable disgust. She secretly swore never to touch Huang Quan again in this life. Never? Huang Quan's mind had gone completely blank, his eyes completely unfocused, and he could only mutter over and over, "A hell beast, ha, ha ha, a hell beast, I did a hell beast, ha ha ha, ha ha ha, ha ha ha." He seemed utterly unable to accept this extremely absurd reality, and just laughed idiotically. Could there be anything more earth-shattering, more humiliating, more socially deadly than this in the world? There is not. He, Huang Quan, created a new history in the Central Plains, becoming the first man ever to kill an infernal beast. He would go down in history as a comical figure for future generations to laugh uproariously at. Thinking of this, he laughed even more foolishly. He raised an orchid-like finger, pointing at the infernal beast's corpse, and giggled. What I did was clearly a woman. How could it be an infernal beast? Such an embarrassing thing. How could I, Huang Quan, have done it? It wasn't me, it was someone else. Yes, someone else, someone else, someone else. Suddenly, a powerful vortex of Kai erupted from his entire body. At this moment of extreme mental stimulation, he broke through the nascent soul and opened the eighth aperture. A bizarre madness swiftly spread out from him. Fang Chen, caught off guard, was instantly enveloped by that madness. He too instantly fell into the madness, involuntarily muttering along, "Right, the infernal beast wasn't killed by Huang Quan. I remembered wrong, remembered wrong." Just then, the scar on his nascent soul suddenly throbbed with a sharp pain. Fang Chen jolted awake abruptly. Then he heard Bai Luo's clear voice beside his ear. How could my husband have done it? It must have been someone else. Fang Chen looked dumbfounded. Huang Quan stepped into the 8, aperture nascent soul, and inadvertently comprehended his own path, the Tao of deceit. Can this even work? Fang Chen reflected on how much hardship he had endured, and how long he had pondered in order to comprehend the great Tao. Compared to Huang Quan, he felt an urge to vomit blood. Huang Quan's Tao came too easily, didn't it? But thinking of Huang Quan's experience of desperately fighting the infernal beast over the past month, Fang Chen felt relieved. This Tao was meant for Huang Quan to comprehend. Fang Chen wasn't envious at all. Seeing that both had completely fallen into that maddening intent, Fang Chen raised his fist and gave each of them a blow. With 2 muffled thuds, he neatly knocked the 2 unconscious. Then he took out 2 portions of ancestral blood of 10,000 spirits, each as long as a finger, and murmured, "In this great calamity, I ask you both to assist my heavenly sect. Red Pavilion, with all your strength, this bit of ancestral blood is your reward. I hope it can enhance your combat power before the ancient giants descend." After speaking, he flicked his finger, and 2 strands of ancestral blood shot directly into their bodies. Then, Fang Chen placed each of them into a separate secret chamber. After finishing these tasks, he finally had time to deal with that infernal beast. As for its corpse, Fang Chen didn't need to destroy it himself. As the soul departed, the massive body immediately began to rot and stink, deteriorating at a visible speed. Especially the blood of the infernal beast. By the time Fang Chen had settled Huang Quan and Bai Luo, the blood had become viscous and foul, like putrid water from a stinking ditch. Fang Chen was inwardly surprised. Strange, how could the blood rot so quickly? But he didn't dwell on it much. To prevent the stench from spreading, he simply burned the corpse to ashes with a fire. Finally, he looked at the infernal beast's soul. At this moment, the soul was still struggling desperately, roaring with a fierce expression, "Fang Chen, you will die a horrible death." What terrifying torment had it endured over this past month and more? To be violated repeatedly by a strong tiger demon, even the hells wouldn't have such a dreadful punishment, would they? And Fang Chen, who allowed the tiger demon to torment it, was simply a devil crawling out of hell. Fang Chen's gaze was calm. He shrugged and said, "I was going to die anyway. But you, how should I deal with you?" The infernal beast threw its head back in furious laughter. "Falling into your hands, you demon. I accept my fate. Kill me or slice me, do as you please." Then its voice filled with venom, "But you, when the ancient giants descend, it will be your doom. You killed so many of our giant kings. The ancient giants will first devour your entire heavenly secret pavilion. You'll watch helplessly as your friends, your lover, your sect, all die miserably in their mouths. You'll suffer more than I did, ha ha ha." Fang Chen had originally intended to directly snuff it out, but seeing such viciousness, he silently took out the small black bottle of the Heart Sin Venerable and said flatly, I still cannot be too merciful." With that, he directly sealed it inside the small black bottle. Under the scorching of soul flames, the infernal beast immediately let out an agonized scream, "Ah, kill me quickly." In answer was Fang Chen's merciless motion of sealing the bottle. Having resolved the hidden danger of the infernal beast, Fang Chen arrived at his own secret chamber. Out of habit, he carefully checked his surroundings. Only after confirming nothing was amiss did he close the secret chamber. Next, he took out the 10-foot-long evil sword he had just obtained. As a sword, a 10-foot-long greatsword was indeed unwieldy, but for use in the Grand Yan sword formation, there was no problem at all. The only pity was that this sword had only evil intent but no special abilities, likely due to the lack of an artifact spirit. But how exactly could he create an artifact spirit? Fang Chen recalled that he still had a soul formation stage, soul, from the divine weapon prefecture. He immediately summoned with his left hand the divine wood that made people howl in pain, and from the wraith crystal in his right hand, he took out that person's soul. The moment it saw the divine wood, the soul shuddered violently. He had witnessed with his own eyes the wretched state of the soul shadow demon lord after being struck once, so pained that he disowned his own relatives. The soul hurriedly squeezed out a flattering smile. "Fellow Taoist Fang, we're all civilized people. Let's talk nicely." Fang Chen glanced sideways at this brawny, round-waisted soul with reddish skin, clearly a rough man, and couldn't help rolling his eyes. "When you wanted to silence me by killing me, you weren't this civilized." The soul smiled awkwardly. "Isn't that how we got to know each other? Let me introduce myself, one of the 10 great artifact refining masters of the Divine Weapon Prefecture, Mo Dinkian, known as Master Mo. Of course, fellow Taoist Fang, just call me Old Mo." Fang Chen snorted lightly. I'm really not that familiar with you. Old guy, I'll give you 2 paths. His tone suddenly sank. He extended a first finger. First, be annihilated in both body and soul right now. Then he extended a second finger. Second, do your best to help me. If you can help me kill more enemies among the ancient giants, after the great battle ends, I'll find you a body for you to possess and cultivate again. Jews. Mo Dinkian gave a bitter smile. Who wouldn't know how to answer an easy question? Fellow Taoist Fang, if there's anything you need my help with, please speak freely. He didn't truly believe Fang Chen would let him go. Judging from how Fang Chen had killed the Soul Shadow Demon Lord, this guy, though small in stature, was ridiculously fierce when it came to killing. Even if the Great War with the ancient giants really ended with the Central Plains victory and Fang Chen luckily survived, he might not necessarily keep his promise. His reason for placating Fang Chen now was just to prolong his miserable existence a bit longer, waiting for a chance to escape. Fang Chen pointed to the evil sword nearby. Do you recognize this sword? Mo Dinkian looked in that direction. At first, he was slightly stunned, then a look of surprise appeared on his face. Isn't this the evil sword personally forged by our great venerable? I even assisted in its forging. How did this sword end up in your hands? Fang Chen said flatly, it was forged for me in the first place. Mo Dinkian was greatly shocked, and then an indescribable envy appeared on his face. He clicked his tongue and sighed. This sword was forged from our great venerable's most precious piece of extraterrestrial evil meteorite. According to the Great Venerable, this meteorite has a tremendous origin comparable to the immortal mountain from Star Cluster Mountain that produced purple lightning back then. Not only would the spirit artifact made from it be an unparalleled evil weapon of slaughter, but it also harbors a fate both auspicious and ominous, yet undetermined. I never imagined that this sword would end up in your hands, truly enviable. Oh? An opportunity with unknown fortune or disaster. Fang Chen's heart stirred. It was said that the artifact spirit of purple lightning was also a soul spark from a heavenly realm master. He nodded slightly and asked, do you have a way to make this sword give birth to an artifact spirit? Mo Dinkian had clearly already guessed Fang Chen's intention and immediately replied without thinking, there are 2 kinds of artifact spirits. One is natural, like purple lightning from Star Cluster Mountain, but this type is extremely rare. The other is artificially created. This requires injecting a powerful living being's soul into the artifact, and using the soul's characteristics to bring out the spirit artifact's special abilities. This was roughly what Fang Chen had expected. An artifact spirit couldn't just sprout from a spirit artifact out of thin air like common weeds. Artifact spirits must be artificially created using the souls of living beings. At this thought, Fang Chen couldn't help but size Mo Dinkian up and down. A powerful soul. Wasn't this Mo Dinkian right before him a ready-made candidate? Hey, I haven't finished yet, Mo Dinkian said, his hair standing on end under that gaze. He hurriedly added, the artifact spirit must also be compatible with the spirit artifact itself to draw out its corresponding traits. For this malevolent sword before us, only a soul seething with deep resentment can withstand the sword's evil intent. Otherwise, its consciousness will be brutally ground away by T-hat intent. Fang Chen furrowed his brows. Deep resentment. Where on earth was he supposed to find a soul steeped in such deep resentment? Wang Chengxi certainly harbored deep resentment toward him, and his soul would probably be suitable, but he was far away in the celestial realm, impossible to find on short notice. The souls of those giant kings would also serve well, all brimming with deep resentment, but alas, the moment they die, their souls drift off to unknown realms and cannot be retained. Fang Chen rubbed his temples and muttered in frustration. An artifact spirit is truly hard to find. And if I do find one, what then? Can I just thrust it directly into the spirit artifact? Mo Dinkian quickly shook his head. Of course not. You must first erase its consciousness, turning it into an unconscious soul, body. Otherwise, wouldn't it just seize control of the artifact, turning the tables? If it turned on you at a critical moment and bit the hand that fed it, that would be disastrous. That made sense. Sealing a soul inside a spirit artifact was essentially giving it a new body to possess. Erasing its consciousness was indeed a necessary step. Mo Dinkian added, I still have a bottle of soul, annihilating alkali solution in my spatial storage. Pour it onto the malevolent sword. When you find a suitable resentful spirit, force it inside, and the solution will destroy its consciousness on its own. Fang Chen searched casually and indeed produced a bottle of murky white liquid. After a moment's thought, he decisively poured it over the malevolent sword. If Mo Dinkian wanted to stay alive, he wouldn't dare deceive him over such a trivial matter. As expected, the white liquid swiftly seeped into the malevolent sword. Now it was only a matter of finding a suitable soul to seal within. Fang Chen nodded in satisfaction, and then activated the heavenly thunderstone, preparing to toss the sword inside. Mo Dinkian, however, warned with a grave expression, before the sword has an artifact spirit, it's best not to store it in a storage device for long. The evil aura it passively emits will accumulate over time and ruin the spiritual items within. Alarmed, Fang Chen hurriedly inspected the heavenly thunderstone. Sure enough, in the short time since he had returned, a faint, almost imperceptible wisp of evil aura had already seeped into the stone. He immediately circulated the power of thunder and lightning to purge it, expelling every trace of the malevolent energy. Staring at the malevolent sword before him, Fang Chen was speechless. This blasted sword has become a burden. He looked at Mo Dinkian and said briskly, "Fine. If we find an artifact spirit, I'll count it as a credit for you." Mo Dinkian grinned. "A fitting artifact spirit is a matter of chance, not demand. Just wait patiently. Also, don't let any ordinary souls near the malevolent sword, lest they accidentally enter and occupy the spirit's place. That would be troublesome." Fang Chen nodded and returned Mo Dinkian to the Wraith Crystal. Where would souls even come from in the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion? There was absolutely no need to worry about that. At that moment, he suddenly sensed a cluster of formidable auras rapidly approaching the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion. Among them was the aura of an Atorifice, nascent soul cultivator. He couldn't help but frown slightly. Strange. While he was away, all had been calm and quiet. Yet the moment he returned, unknown threats descended. Everyone was enclosed, door cultivation, and could not afford any disturbance. Fang Chen immediately flashed away. As for the malevolent sword, it was a full zhang in length and couldn't be stored, making it terribly inconvenient to carry. He simply left the sword in the secret chamber. Meanwhile, in Nangong, Ziyuan's secret chamber, she gazed at Chen Jing, who sat cross-legged within the soul, nurturing wood with a serene gaze, and her heart swelled with comfort. After a month of her patient counsel, Chen Jing had finally let go of the hatred in his heart, resolving to turn over a new leaf, live out his days as an ordinary mortal. Nangong Ziyuan fixed her eyes on Chen Jing, scrutinizing his expression, and asked softly, "Brother, have you truly let go?" Chen Jing smiled bitterly. "Sister, don't tease me anymore. These years, I was possessed by demons. I did so many despicable things, coveting my master, neglecting my own sister, and venting my anger on innocent Fang Chen, twice trying to kill him. I have no face left to live in this world. You shouldn't have saved me back then. It would have been better to let me meet my end." Hearing these heartfelt words, a look of joy spread across Nangong Ziyuan's face. Out of sisterly affection, she had saved Chen Jing's soul. But Fang Chen had shown her great kindness, and she could not let Chen Jing run free to harm Fang Chen or those around him. Fortunately, Chen Jing's conscience had not been entirely extinguished. Day by day, under her guidance, he had finally repented and reformed. Nangong Ziyuan said with relief, "As long as you've come to understand, that's enough, who is without fault. Just live a good life from now on." She brought out a corpse, a handsome young nobleman, but with a mortal's constitution and no spirit roots. "This is the body I found for you, brother." He was the crown prince of a mortal kingdom, living a life of luxury and carefree ease, who recently died in an accidental fall into water. By taking over this body, you can live on as the crown prince. It's just a pity he lacks spirit roots. You won't be able to walk the martial path after possession. As she uttered the last sentence, Nangong Ziyuan stared intently into Chen Jing's eyes. Chen Jing sighed. "What face do I have left to tread the martial path again? Even if you gave me a body with 9th grade spirit roots, I wouldn't cultivate anew. Let me finish this broken life as a mortal. This is already heaven's greatest mercy to me." Nangong Ziyuan breathed a quiet sigh of relief. To be absolutely sure, she decided it was best for Chen Jing never to walk the martial path again, just to live happily as a mortal. Seeing that Chen Jing showed no resistance, her heart finally settled. Nangong Ziyuan smiled. "All right, then, brother, enter your new vessel and begin a new life." With that, she released the seal on the soul, nurturing wood, and let out Chen Jing's soul. Chen Jing rose to his full height and, with a calm expression, landed upon the mortal's forehead. His translucent soul body swiftly began to sink into the body. Just as he was about to fully merge, he turned his head and said, "Sister, take care of yourself for the rest of your days." Nangong Ziyuan was moved. A faint sorrow welled up in her heart. Once Chen Jing became a mortal, they would be separated. One walking the perilous, thorns-laden path of martial cultivation, the other bound to the fate of birth, aging, sickness, age. Indeed, death, powerless to resist. In this life, they would never cross paths again. Her eyes grew moist, and she said with sorrow, "You too, brother." Chen Jing nodded, withdrew his gaze, and said, "Then I'm off." The moment the words left his mouth, his ever-calm eyes suddenly flickered with ferocity. Seizing the moment when Nangong Zheoyan was distracted by sorrow, a burst of pitch, black light erupted from Chen Jing's soul, body, and struck the defenseless Nangong Zheoyan with pinpoint accuracy. A miserable groan escaped her lips as she crumpled to the ground, writhing in agony and rolling about. Chen Jing shot away from the corpse like a ghostly shadow and burst into savage laughter. "Fool, as the disciple of an ascendant venerable, did you think I'd have no survival tricks?" He opened his mouth, and a jet, black orb the size of a black bean, flew out, brimming with powerful soul energy. It was clearly a rare soul artifact, and a low-grade spirit artifact at that. It posed little threat to late, stage nascent soul cultivators, but to a 3 orifice nascent soul like Nangong Zheoyan, it was devastatingly effective. Nangong Zheoyan's face turned rapidly pale as she asked in agony, "Brother, you deceived me." Chen Jing sneered viciously, "My foolish sister, I cultivate the path of inverse intent. The more you tried to guide me, the more I defied you. How could you possibly have persuaded me?" Over the past month, the hatred in his heart had not abated in the slightest. Instead, it had grown ever deeper, etched into his bones and marrow. He roared furiously, his voice dripping with venom like a vengeful ghost from hell. "Fang Chen stole my woman and made me listen with my own ears to how he conquered her. I will make him repay this humiliation 100-fold, 1,000-fold. I will bed his women and make him feel the agony of 10,000 insects gnawing at his heart." Nangong Zheoyan was consumed with regret. She had actually believed that Chen Jing had turned over a new leaf. This kind of person, who even covets his own master, and repeatedly acts as a vile villain, how could he possibly turn over a new leaf? Hearing that he still intended to take revenge on Fang Chen, Nangong Zheoyan endured the intense pain and mocked, "You're nothing but a soul form, barely able to protect yourself. Yet you still covet Fang Chen's women, truly a toad lusting after swan's flesh. Not to mention Fang Chen, even among those women Chen Jing most desires to possess, which one can he do anything to? They are all now at the mid-nascent soul stage, and even Fairy Yunshang has cultivated to the 6 apertures nascent soul realm. Chen Jing, a mere soul form, would only meet his death if he encountered them." Chen Jing laughed, his laughter growing increasingly ferocious. His gaze roamed over Nangong Zheoyan's petite and delicate figure as he sneered coldly, "Other women I can't do anything to, but you. Can I not do anything to you?" Nangong Zheoyan could scarcely believe her ears, and her voice trembled. "What are you saying? I am your own sister." Chen Jing appraised Nangong Zheoyan's panicked yet still beautiful face and snorted coldly, "My own sister? A sister should help me take revenge, not side with my mortal enemy and persuade me to forget hatred. The moment you forced me to become a mortal, the kinship between us was severed with a single stroke. Now I am Chen Jing, and you are Fang Chen's woman." Nangong Zheoyan was in disbelief, her almond-shaped eyes wide with fury as she cursed, "You are truly a beast." Coveting one's own master already violates human ethics, but she never imagined he would even set his sights on his own sister. Nangong Zheoyan's eyes blazed with fire as she shouted, "Forget it. Fang Chen and I are merely friends. I am not his woman. No matter how you try to get revenge through me, you won't hurt him." Chen Jing manipulated the soul pearl to fly over and said sinisterly, "I did not kill Boren, but Boren died because of me." That's Fang Chen's character. If you are defiled because of him, he will be racked with guilt and fury. Heh heh heh. As he spoke, Chen Jing activated the pitch black orb again, intending to knock Nangong Zheoyan, and completely unconscious so he could take her away. There was no other way. He was still only a soul form, and couldn't even defile Nangong Zheoyan. He could only find a way to abduct her now, wait until he found a suitable body, and then carry out his atrocity. However, at the very moment the black light was about to erupt, Nangong Zheoyan, who had been rolling on the ground, suddenly raised the right hand that had been pressed beneath her body. A pitch-black blade, dark as ink, had been clutched tightly in her hand without him noticing. In a flash of lightning, she viciously slashed a strike at Chen Jing. The long blade descended in utter silence. An invisible, formless black sword aura shot through the air and instantly engulfed Chen Jing. The black orb before him exploded on the spot, blasted into powder. Chen Jing himself was even cleaved by that fierce blade aura, his shoulder forcibly split in half. Agonizing pain surged over him like a tidal wave, and he let out a pig, slaughtering scream. "Ah, when did you also get a soul artifact?" Enduring the waves of intense pain surging from deep within her soul, Nangong Zaiwei staggered unsteadily to her feet. Gripping the black blade tightly, she said in a deep voice, "Since I gathered your soul, how could I not take precautions against you?" This black blade is a soul-grade treasure left by Fang Chen at the Heavenly Secret Pavilion. A few days ago, I specifically borrowed it from the Pavilion Master. This was precisely the soul black blade that Fang Chen had seized from Chuan Xingbak when the Tao head of the Three Purities Mountain, along with 2 Dharma protectors, came to wreak havoc when establishing their sect at the Heavenly Secret Pavilion. As he himself was already proficient in soul's secret arts, he left this blade within the sect. Now, it had finally been put to use. Again, Fang Chen. Chen Jing howled venomously in pain, then all that rolling on the ground and pretending to be in pain just now was that also deliberately stalling for time. He could hardly believe that this foolish little sister, who had always been so naive and kind, could have become so intelligent. Even as her older brother, he had completely fallen into her trap. Nangong Zaoyan raised the black blade in her hand once more, a trace of gratification appearing on her face as she slowly said, "Even if I haven't eaten pork, I've at least seen a pig run. Having witnessed Fang Chen take action so many times, even if I were a pig, I'd have learned a thing or two." Before her words had even fallen, the black blade in her hand had already fiercely chopped down. "A person like you doesn't deserve a chance at all." With a terrifying ripping sound, screech, a black blade aura once again swept toward Chen Jing with overwhelming destructive force. But Chen Jing was no ordinary man. Even before the black blade had fully descended, he had frantically fled into the void. The black blade aura swept past, merely managing to slice off a part of his soul. From the void came Chen Jing's enraged roar, "Whore! I will make you, just like Fang Chen's women, all receive your retribution." Nangong Zaoyan's gaze sharpened abruptly, trying to leave. Without a moment's hesitation, she casually slashed a strike at the space before her. By all logic, Chen Jing, having fled into the void, should be like a rat scurrying into its hole, extremely difficult to catch. Even with 100 or 80 strikes, one might not even touch a corner of his clothes. But unexpectedly, this seemingly random slash actually caused another agonized howl to echo from the void. Nangong Zaoyan. He simply couldn't believe that Nangong Zaoyan had actually hit him by sheer dumb luck. Nangong Zaoy let out a delicate snort and said, "You didn't even bother to check what my Dao name is." With that, she flipped her wrist and slashed out another blade strike. What made Chen Jing absolutely furious was that even though he had immediately changed his hiding spot, this second slash once again struck him with deadly precision. Having another wisp of his soul sliced off, Chen Jing writhed in agony on the ground, tumbling out of the void in utter disarray. He roared furiously, "What exactly is your Dao name?" Nangong Zaoyan looked at him coldly, enunciating every word, "And you call yourself my own brother, yet you don't even know my name is Fortune Fairy." Fortune? Didn't that mean this girl's luck was outrageously good? So that was why every single slash hit its mark. At this moment, Chen Jing felt like vomiting blood in frustration. Damned, Chen Jing didn't dare linger a moment longer. He decisively turned and fled. Feeling the pain in her soul subside considerably, Nangong Zaoy immediately brought the black blade with her and chased after him with a murderous aura. One fled for his life, while the other pursued with full force. Along the way, Nangong Zaoy, an occasionally unleashed razor, sharp blade auras, each slash precisely hitting Chen Jing, making him howl in pain repeatedly. Seeing that no matter what, he couldn't escape and was about to die under Nangong Zaoyan's blade, Chen Jing was filled with regret. If he had known it would come to this, he should have just fled from the start. At that time, Nangong Zaoy might not have been willing to strike a fatal blow. But now, the two were irreconcilable enemies to the death. Even if he wanted to beg for mercy, it was useless. Just at this critical moment of life and death, Chen Jing suddenly sensed an unusually powerful surge of malevolent Kai. He glanced sideways and immediately noticed a secret chamber nearby. This chamber, he recognized it. He even remembered it with bone, deep clarity. Because this was the very secret chamber where Fang Chen had once slept with True Words, revered one. So it is Fang Chen's secret chamber. The malevolent Kai here is so strong, and it's mixed with tremendous spiritual pressure. Could it be a treasure that Fang Chen hid here? His eyes darted, and he decisively changed direction, diving headlong into that secret chamber. What met his eyes was a massive black sword, towering over 10 feet tall. A top-grade spirit sword, Chen Jing was overjoyed, and Fang Chen himself isn't even here. Fang Chen, oh Fang Chen, since that's the case, this treasure shall be mine. This is what you owe me. Today I'll collect a bit of interest first. With this top-grade spirit sword in hand, his future body, possession and recultivation would undoubtedly be much faster. However, he was now merely a soul form. To take such a massive sword away was no easy task. Fortunately, he immediately noticed that this was a sword that had yet to form an artifact spirit. He could completely slip inside the sword and control this giant blade to leave. Clang! A loud crash rang out, and at the same time Nangong Zaiwoi and kicked the heavy stone door flying open. She immediately spotted the giant sword, radiating monstrous, malevolent intent. The overwhelming malevolent Kai made her mind reel for a moment, and she instantly understood that this was Fang Chen's great treasure. Seeing Chen Jing rapidly lunging toward that evil sword, she instantly grasped his intention. Nangong Zaiwoi and cried out in alarm, "Stop! I won't allow you to touch Fang Chen's treasure." Chen Jing turned his head, grinning viciously. "Sorry, but today I'm taking both the person and Fang Chen's treasure. You and Fang Chen's women, all of you keep your chastity intact, for I shall claim you one by one." Amidst the unbridled laughter, he dove head first into the evil sword. Nangong Zaiwoi slashed at the evil sword, but the powerful blade aura was easily blocked by the sword body, utterly unable to penetrate inside to kill Chen Jing. Nangong Zaiwoi's face instantly turned ashen. "It's over. I've caused a terrible disaster this time. I let Chen Jing escape, left behind a colossal calamity, and now even caused Fang Chen's precious treasure to be stolen by him. How am I going to explain this to Fang Chen?" But just as she felt the heavens were about to collapse, from within the evil sword suddenly came Chen Jing's terrified, desperate roar. "Oh! What is inside this sword? It's erasing my consciousness." The next moment, Chen Jing actually struggled to push half his body out of the sword, his face filled with terror and panic. His body was tightly wrapped in a mysterious milky, white alkaline liquid that continuously eroded his consciousness. Moreover, a terrifying devouring force suddenly erupted from within the sword, violently dragging him back inside. Now thoroughly terrified, Chen Jing instantly understood that he had mistakenly entered a spiritual artifact that was waiting for an artifact spirit, and that he was about to have his consciousness forcibly erased and be refined alive into the sword's artifact spirit. "No. I still have to exact my revenge. I absolutely cannot become Fang Chen's artifact spirit. Save me, sister. Quickly save me." Chen Jing let out a heart-rending plea towards Nangong Zaiwoi, who was right within arm's reach. However, before Nangong Zaiwoi could react, Chen Jing was completely dragged into the depths of the evil sword by that irresistible force. "No. I don't want to become Fang Chen's artifact spirit. Quickly kill me, sister. Kill me with one strike. I would rather die than become Fang Chen's artifact spirit." His roars grew weaker and weaker until they abruptly ceased. The evil sword trembled gently, and a faint, ethereal rhythm slowly emanated from within. As if adding the finishing touch to a dragon painting, it brought the lifeless evil sword thoroughly to life. This was the very sign of an artifact spirit being born. Nangong Zaiwoi, holding her black blade, blinked forcefully, standing rooted to the spot in utter astonishment. Chen Jing, just like that, became the artifact spirit of Fang Chen's treasure. From now on, for all eternity, he'll be at Fang Chen's beck and call. This... For a moment, she didn't know what to say. All this felt simply too dramatic. Such a fate was probably 10,000 times more agonizing for him than simply being killed. Had he known, Chen Jing would have chosen to disperse his own soul back then, which would have been far less painful. Recalling from rescuing Chen Jing to him ending up as Fang Chen's artifact spirit, Nangong Zaiwoi sighed with emotion. She faintly felt that every twist of fate was all a predestined cause and effect ordained in the unseen. However, this outcome also let her heave a long sigh of relief. The calamity that was Chen Jing was completely neutralized. Fang Chen's precious treasure had unexpectedly gained an artifact spirit, and she had not, in fact, caused a catastrophe. Thinking of this, she hastily withdrew from Fang Chen's hidden chamber. Before leaving, she didn't forget to reinstall the stone door she had kicked away earlier. Finally, she stuck out her tongue mischievously and muttered to herself, "Let's just say I saved Chen Jing. MHM, nothing happened, nothing happened." Having said that, she turned around and slipped away swiftly in the main hall of the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion. I was wondering who it was. It's you, you old rascal. Fang Chen looked at the group of visitors, his gaze fixed deathly on the old man at the front, who wore silver gleaming armor and rested his hand on a long blade. He couldn't help but roll his eyes. He teased with a hint of interest, speaking of which, that outfit of yours, where exactly did you steal it from? The old man was skinny as a stick, with a long snow-white beard, dressed in a full set of majestic Imperial Observatory commander's attire, putting on an air of official business. If not for the heaven, monitoring precious mirror hanging at his chest, something Fang Chen was all too familiar with, Fang Chen would hardly have recognized that this was actually the Six Paths Taoist. Insolence! How dare you speak to me, the commander, like this? The Six Paths Taoist's aged eyes flared wide, and with a naturally commanding presence devoid of overt anger, he bellowed, I am the newly appointed commander of the Imperial Observatory, Liu Dao. Today, I'm making routine inspections of the various sects to check their defenses. Vice Pavilion Master Fang, please fully cooperate with this commander's work. Fang Chen's eyes nearly bulged out of their sockets, filled with utter disbelief. That's not right. Wasn't the Six Paths Taoist long since wanted by the Imperial Observatory, with Bai Xin hunting him all across the realm? How, in the blink of an eye, had he instead wormed his way into becoming the commander of the Imperial Observatory? He stared at the other man with a face full of suspicion and asked, Old rascal, are you sure you aren't tricking me? The Six Paths Taoist immediately snorted coldly and berated him. Insolence! If you dare show disrespect to this commander again, I will surely make you taste the agony of harsh punishment. Hearing this, Fang Chen was both furious and amused. This old scoundrel was actually putting on such airs now. Not bothering with further words, he raised his hand and slapped the armrest of his seat. The next instant, his figure blurred, and he instantly teleported right in front of the Six Paths Taoist, launching a straightforward punch without any fancy tricks. What terrifying might this punch unleashed! One could see the grand imagery of a Chen Jing, all golden divine elephant, a majestic imperial elephant, and the yellow bell earth elephant all bursting forth simultaneously with his ferocious fist force. Although the Six Paths Taoist had successfully broken through to the Eight Apertures' nascent soul realm, when it came to physical cultivation alone, how could he possibly be Fang Chen's match? With a heavy bang, he was immediately sent staggering backward, stumbling repeatedly. In the end, he lost his footing altogether and fell squarely onto his backside on the ground, the immense impact even pressing a terrifying spiderweb of cracks into the floor. Ouch! The Six Paths Taoist hissed sharply in pain, cursing and grumbling, You little brat, hitting an old man so viciously. Upon hearing this, Fang Chen merely chuckled lightly and said calmly, Who told you to speak such rubbish? The Six Paths Taoist grumbled and groggily climbed to his feet. As he rubbed his sore buttocks, he kept winking meaningfully at the group of observatory guards in the hall and waved his hand shooing them away. All of you out, out. Once only, the two of them remained in the hall. The Six Paths Taoist then gave Fang Chen a fierce glare, his tone somewhat resentful. It's been some time, and your cultivation has actually risen again. You brat, you're just a monster. Fang Chen didn't take up his words. Instead, his gaze scrutinized the impressive Imperial Observatory uniform on him, and he asked, How much spiked wine did the Grand Libationer rank to appoint an old demon like you as the commander of the Imperial Observatory? Upon hearing this, the Six Paths Taoist immediately puffed out his chest and smugly patted his breastplate, showing off with an air of superiority. Heh, just admit you're jealous. Then he chuckled wickedly a couple of times and talked to himself. Heh heh, I truly didn't expect that the Grand Libationer would give me a chance to atone for my crimes, letting me stay in the Imperial Observatory as commander. He really is a rare, good person in this world. Oh. Fang Chen couldn't help but ponder inwardly. Knowing the Grand Libationer's consistent style of action, every move he made surely concealed a profoundly deep scheme behind it. He would never, without good reason, bestow such a crucial position upon someone with such a terrible reputation in the world. Suddenly, a thought flashed through Fang Chen's mind. A sharp glint flickered in his eyes, and he asked Bai Xin, Could she be your daughter? At these words, the Six Paths Taoist paused for a moment. Then, one saw him silently take off the heaven, monitoring precious mirror from his neck, and reach into his pocket to pull out the soul-illuminating ancient mirror. He carefully placed these two supreme treasures into Fang Chen's hands, his wrinkled old face immediately overflowing with an indescribable, contented smile as he slowly said, I no longer need these two items. They're all for you. Fang Chen took the items, momentarily stunned. But soon he understood. The Six Paths Taoist had once, at any cost, frantically searched for the heaven. monitoring precious mirror and the soul-illuminating ancient mirror, and his goal had always been just one. That was, within the vast sea of people, to find his long-lost daughter. Now that he personally says he no longer needs it, it can only mean one thing. He has found his daughter. A surge of heartfelt joy from the depths of his soul instantly welled up in Fang Chen's heart. This was joy felt on behalf of the Six Paths Exalted One. After a full 60 years of arduous searching, the Six Paths Exalted One finally fulfilled his lifelong greatest wish, just as his death drew near. Fang Chen heavily patted the Six Paths Exalted One on the shoulder, his eyes brimming with heartfelt relief, and said gruffly, "Congratulations, old friend. Father and daughter, you are finally reunited." The Six Paths Exalted One's eyes immediately grew moist, tears of irrepressible joy that he could not hold back no matter what. He bent down and gave Fang Chen a deep bow, his voice somewhat choked as he said, "Thank you for allowing me to finally achieve my wish. And for allowing this broken body of mine to settle the greatest regret of my life before I am laid to rest." If Fang Chen had not reminded him to take a look at Bai Xin back then, the Six Paths Exalted One would never have thought, even until his death, that Bai Xin, who had been relentlessly pursuing him from behind, would actually be his own flesh and blood, his long-lost daughter. Fang Chen helped him up and said with firm tone, "Between you and me, there is no need for such formalities." On the journey, he and the Six Paths Exalted One had walked together. Their relationship was both adversary and friend, and also both teacher and friend. Now that the Six Paths Exalted One had his wish fulfilled, Fang Chen was genuinely happy for him from the bottom of his heart. Fang Chen then asked, "Have you two, father and daughter, already acknowledged each other?" The Six Paths Exalted One slowly shook his head and said dejectedly, "No. She has already lost all memories from before she went missing as a child. She doesn't recognize me at all." Fang Chen couldn't help but be taken aback once more. He had specifically reminded Bai Xin to take a look at the Six Paths Exalted One's true appearance from the past. It was precisely to use that to awaken Bai Xin's memories, to let her recall her own biological father. But he hadn't expected that Bai Xin had long forgotten everything about those old days, clean as a slate. Could this too be the handiwork of the Grand Libationer? Moreover, according to their earlier speculation, the Six Paths Exalted One's daughter should by now be an old woman with white hair. Yet Bai Xin still maintained the appearance of a young girl. Presumably, this too was the Grand Libationer using some secret art to seal her in stasis for an entire 60-year cycle, only awakening her in recent years. Fang Chen said in surprise, "Since you are now also in the Imperial Observatory, you should be able to see Bai Xin often. Why then do you not confess your true identity to her? Bai Xin is an extremely intelligent person. She is fully capable of judging whether your words are true or false. If you wish to acknowledge each other, it should be easy." But before Fang Chen could finish, the Six Paths Exalted One hurriedly interrupted him. "Absolutely not." The Six Paths Exalted One's face showed a hint of anxiety, and he quickly explained, "I came to find you today, not only to give you these two treasures, but also because I heard of your return and came specifically to admonish you. Consider it my plea, please never tell Bai Xin that I am her biological father." Upon hearing this, Fang Chen was completely dumbfounded and asked, perplexed, "Why is that?" Wasn't finding his daughter the lifelong obsession of the Six Paths Exalted One? Now that his daughter is right before him, why would he instead be unwilling to reunite as father and daughter? A look of deep shame instantly flooded the Six Paths Exalted One's eyes. He sighed softly. She wholeheartedly pursues the light and loathes the evil in this world above all. And over these years, I have truly committed many unforgivable evil deeds. I am precisely the kind of person she despises the most in her daily life. If she were to know I am her father, how could she reconcile that with herself? Acknowledging me would go against the justice she upholds in her heart. Refusing to acknowledge me would violate the filial piety owed as a child. So it's better not to put her in a difficult position." Fang Chen frowned deeply and said, "Then what is the point of finding her?" The Six Paths Exalted One chuckled, his laughter full of relief. "I searched for her only to see whether my child has lived well all these years. Now she is already the famed commandant of Taking Great State, a respected leader of the righteous path. I can be at ease. As for being unable to acknowledge each other, though it is somewhat regrettable, as long as I can stay by her side and watch her steadily walk her own path, I am already fully content." Hearing this, Fang Chen could not help but be deeply moved. This was the heart of a parent. From a spirited middle-aged man, he searched bitterly for a full 60 years, wearing himself down into a decrepit old man. all for just a single glance to see if his child was safe and sound. Even for the sake of his child's future, he dared not even acknowledge her, willing only to silently accompany her as a stranger. Fang Chen finally understood why the Grand Libationer had allowed the Six Paths Exalted One to atone for his crimes by serving as the Commandant. It was to help the Six Paths Exalted One fulfill his wish, to allow him, in these final moments of his life, to accompany his daughter on a stretch of her journey. At the same time, it was also the Grand Libationer's own form of recompense. Back then, it was precisely the Grand Libationer who took Bai Xin away, leading to the Six Paths Exalted One's lifetime of wandering and hardship. Although the Grand Libationer's intention was to prevent Bai Xin from becoming a true demon and bringing disaster upon the world. But in the end, it still harmed the Six Paths Exalted One. Fang Chen once again heavily patted the Six Paths Exalted One on the shoulder and nodded firmly, promising, "Rest assured, I will keep this secret for you." The Six Paths Exalted One thought for a moment, then pulled out a thick stack of documents from his bosom and handed them to Fang Chen, saying, "I once said that if you could help me find my daughter, I would certainly kowtow to thank you. But I know you would never let me kowtow, so I'll use this stuff to express my gratitude instead." Fang Chen casually took the stack of documents from the Six Paths Exalted One. As he flipped through them, he couldn't help muttering under his breath, "You old rascal. Don't you dare give me some sort of beauty catalog or something. I'm not that kind of person." However, when he looked closely, Fang Chen's face immediately showed astonishment, and he blurted out, "This is the whereabouts of the Northern Profound Sword Sovereign's 9 swords." The Six Paths Exalted One immediately rolled his eyes wide and retorted irritably, "You wish, as if I'd even get you beautiful women. Sorry, I'm no longer the Six Paths Exalted One of yesterday. I am now the Six Paths Commandant, upholding justice and defending the righteousness of the mortal world." Fang Chen had no time to listen to his boastful self-praise. His entire mind and spirit were already completely immersed in the documents in his hands. The Six Paths Exalted One's words went in one ear and straight out the other. He could be heard muttering to himself as he analyzed. Back then, the Northern Profound Sword Sovereign forged a total of 9 swords named the Heavens, laying 9 swords. Of these, 6 swords have already been shattered or damaged, leaving only 3 scattered and fallen across the heavens and earth. The Snow-Listening Sword is suspected to have fallen onto the mortal continent. The Thunder Lord Sword is suspected to have fallen in Taixuan Heavenly Prefecture. The Thousand Illusion Sword is the most peculiar. It is actually suspected to have been thrust into the body of an ancient giant emperor, its whereabouts unknown. Fang Chen inwardly nodded to himself. Judging from the topmost record about the Snow-Listening Sword's whereabouts, these documents were highly credible, because he knew that the Snow-Listening Sword indeed lay hidden somewhere on the continent. In that case, the Thunder Lord Sword should be in the Heavenly Prefecture, and that Thousand Illusions Sword is probably in the Heavenly Realm. These 2 swords, in the Heavenly Prefecture and the Heavenly Realm, would not be easy to find. Especially the Thousand Illusions Sword. It was even more elusive than searching for a needle in the vast ocean. Nevertheless, at least they now had some clues. Fang Chen raised his head and said with heartfelt gratitude, "Old friend, you've really put thought into this." The Six Paths Exalted One was about to say something, but suddenly his brows furrowed deeply, his expression instantly turning grave, and he couldn't help but turn his head towards the deepest part of the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion. He asked in a deep voice, "What exactly is your Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion up to? How could it produce such a profound and heavy aura of evil, and it's actually intensifying?" He had once transformed into an evil spirit, so his sensitivity to such evil aura was far keener than that of ordinary people. Fang Chen felt a slight surprise in his heart. Intensifying. A bad premonition instantly surged up within him. He could waste no more words. He swiftly retreated and shot toward his own cave, dwelling like a streak of lightning. In the blink of an eye, Fang Chen had returned to the secluded chamber. Gazing at the malevolent sword, vibrating ceaselessly and erupting with an overwhelmingly powerful evil aura, Fang Chen's heart gave a jolt of alarm. He hurriedly retrieved Mo Dinkian. But in the next instant, his expression shifted drastically. This, how does it already have a weapon spirit? Mo Dinkian's gaze swept over, and he instantly sensed the sudden change in the malevolent sword's aura. He asked in alarm, "You've already captured a suitable spirit so quickly?" Fang Chen's face immediately fell, and he replied coldly, "I didn't do anything. Some wandering soul crept in by itself." Mo Dinkian's expression changed drastically, and he hastily pressed his hand against the evil sword's blade, focusing his mind to sense it. Moments later, a complex glint flickered in his eyes, and he looked up at Fang Chen. "There is good news and bad news. Which would you like to hear first?" Fang Chen pushed down his inner frustration and said in a low voice, "Start with the bad." Mo Dinkian sighed. This is only a nascent soul stage soul. Far too low level to match the malevolent sword's grade. Fang Chen's face immediately darkened with fury. "What random stray is this? How dare it occupy the spirit position of my malevolent sword? Can you extract it?" Mo Dinkian slowly shook his head. "It's extremely troublesome. Our venerable master would need to refine it all over again, requiring effort second only to forging a new one." Fang Chen clenched his fist, almost cursing aloud on the spot. His mind raced over a single thought again and again. How could a soul have materialized out of thin air within the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion, and just so happened to slip straight into the malevolent sword? Mo Dinkian, however, shifted his tone. "But the good news is, this soul is exceptionally compatible with the malevolent sword. Its resentment runs so deep that you'd be hard-pressed to find a more suitable spirit. Its level is low, but its compatibility is sky-high. Truly, it's hard to say whether this is fortune or misfortune." Fang Chen was thoroughly displeased and let out a cold snort. He backhanded the malevolent sword and made a light slash toward the cave wall. A dense, nearly tangible surge of massive malevolent aura erupted out, the ferocious nature ingrained in the sword's very material. Even more unexpectedly, after the wall was effortlessly sliced open, a stubborn wisp of sword aura lingered at the cut, persistently carving into the wall. Within moments, that entire stone wall was utterly pulverized by the wisp of sword aura, and only when the aura was fully spent did the ear-splitting shriek of cutting finally die down. Fang Chen looked stunned, puzzled. Is this the weapon spirit's special trait? Mo Dinkian's eyes abruptly lit up, and he clapped his hands in praise. Exactly. This spirit causes any released sword aura to relentlessly attack the enemy until it's fully spent. This trait can tie down opponents, distracting them in the heat of battle, and even more critically, subject wounded foes to continuous assault, inflicting secondary damage. The practical combat effect is nothing short of superb. Aside from its slightly weak level, this spirit is utterly perfect in every way. Upon hearing this, Fang Chen's expression finally eased somewhat. Just then, a figure rushed over in haste. It was none other than Six Paths Superior. He eyed the long sword seething with malevolent energy, his face brimming with surprise. So it's a top-grade spirit sword. Yet it's so perverse, like the very source of all wickedness. Don't let this thing harm you, lad. I'm still counting on leaving my daughter in your care once I'm gone. The moment his words ended, the malevolent sword hovering in the air abruptly quaked violently, erupting with an even denser malevolent aura. Mo Dinkian fixed his gaze on the blade with a bizarre expression. Why did the weapon spirit's resentment suddenly intensify? Too bad, it only strengthened a little. If its resentment ran deep enough, the spirit's own level would keep rising. If it hit a certain threshold, it might even pull the malevolent sword's grade up along with it, turning it into a quasi-realm weapon or even a realm weapon. Fang Chen's head snapped up, astonished. Improving the spirit can also alter the malevolent sword's grade. Mo Dinkian gave a slight nod. In theory, that is so. But in practice, it is exceedingly rare for a weapon spirit to raise its level by and large. The moment one becomes a spirit, its level is locked. At least in the history of the Central Plains, there have only been a handful of such spirits. Don't set your expectations too high. Fang Chen sighed in disappointment, silently cursing his own greed. He already possessed a top-grade spirit weapon, yet his mind still clung to a quasi-realm weapon, or even a legendary realm weapon. Just then, the sound of tearing wind rang out in rapid succession. Several figures, stirred by the dissipating malevolent aura, shot over at high speed. Cloud Skirt Fairy was the first to arrive. As if by a natural instinct, she spotted Fang Chen at a single glance, and her bright eyes instantly brimmed with sparkling brilliance. This time, Fang Chen had been away for a full month, longer than any absence before. She no longer cared that Six Paths Superior was present, and like a light breeze, she flew into his arms, her eyes brimming with tenderness. "Husband, why were you gone so long?" With that soft, fragrant figure in his arms, Fang Chen, equally full of longing, hugged her tightly and whispered, "I was delayed by some matters. I've caused you worry." Cloud Skirt Fairy gently shook her head, gazing at Fang Chen with eyes that reflected only his image, and said softly, "I'm sorry, I couldn't help you share the burden. All the pressure lies on your shoulders alone." Her words were as gentle as ever, like a breeze in April, quietly soothing away all the irritation in his heart. Fang Chen silently hugged her tighter, savoring this brief, precious moment of peace. Another sound of robes cutting through the air followed. A graceful figure in purple floated over. It was Liu Qingxian. She watched the scene of Fang Chen and Cloud Skirt Fairy locked in a tight embrace, and the smile on her face involuntarily dimmed. Her footsteps halted in place, and she murmured, "Sorry, I came at the wrong time." Fang Chen turned to look at Liu Qingxian, and a profound sense of guilt welled up in his heart. He had not only overlooked Yu Mingju, but had he not also neglected this senior sister who had accompanied him all the way from the Nine Sects land? He loosened one arm from the embrace and opened his other side to Liu Qingxian, saying warmly, "No, you came at exactly the right time." Liu Qingxian instantly blossomed into a radiant smile, lifting the hem of her dress and rushing over, nestling into his embrace. Six Paths Superior, watching from the side, repeatedly shook his head, laughing and chiding, truly the blessings of two wives. "You little rascal, you've monopolized all the good fortune in this world." Unexpectedly, the moment his words died, the malevolent sword suddenly emitted a series of low, resonant hums for no apparent reason, its blade quaking violently. Mo Dinkian fixed his stare, his eyeballs nearly popping out, and he exclaimed in disbelief, "This is insane. The weapon's spirit's resentment has grown even stronger." Fang Chen immediately froze, muttering inwardly, "Why would the resentment deepen again for no reason?" What exactly was happening? His thoughts spun rapidly, and he soon pieced together a clue. When Six Paths Superior mentioned entrusting his daughter to him, the spirit's resentment deepened. Now that he was enjoying the blessings of two wives, the spirit's resentment deepened yet again. Fang Chen's brows furrowed slightly, a hypothesis quietly surfacing in his mind. At that moment, several more figures arrived successively, the foremost among them being the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion Master. The Heavenly Secrets Pavilion Master wore an elegant smile, stepping forward to say, "This time you were truly gone for quite a long while." Fang Chen hastily cupped his hands in salute. "I've caused the Pavilion Master concern. Has all been well in the pavilion recently?" The Heavenly Secrets Pavilion Master nodded with a smile, generally peaceful. "It's just that you are as elusive as a divine dragon, and some honored guests find it difficult to track you down." So saying, he produced a jade gourd from his bosom. Through the translucent jade, one could faintly make out pills resting inside. The Heavenly Secrets Pavilion Master handed over the gourd. "These are pills sent by Deputy Palace Master Yu, said to be a gift left for you." Fang Chen accepted the jade gourd and opened it. Inside, rows of copper-red spirit pills lay quietly. He couldn't help but beam with delight, exclaiming in surprise, "Spirit pills for restoring nascent soul stage strength." During the great battle with the two Star Giant King that day, Fang Chen had used the Grand Yan sword formation and depleted his nascent soul energy. When he was utterly drained, Deputy Palace Master, you had popped one of these pills into his mouth, instantly restoring a full 50% of his power. The impending war against the ancient giants would inevitably be a massive war of attrition, and whether his nascent soul power could endure would be pivotal to survival. Too bad the gourd held only 30 pills, barely enough for one per person in the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion, nowhere near sufficient. Just as he was calculating, he suddenly spotted a slip of paper also stuffed inside the gourd. Fang Chen unfolded it, and joy once again flooded his face. The paper was densely covered with writing. It was actually the formulas for 2 5th-grade spirit pills. Fang Chen's excitement raised his voice several notches. The Void Reversion Spirit Pill Formula to replenish nascent soul power, and the Healing Sacred Medicine Heavenly Garment Divine Water Pill Formula. Deputy Palace Master, you even left me the 2 most precious 5th-grade spirit pill formulas in Alchemy Prefecture. With the great battle imminent, the value of this gift was self-evident. Fang Chen was filled with gratitude. The nearby Six Paths Exalted rolled his eyes, rubbed his hands together with a fawning smile, and sidled up. "Boy, congratulations on another gourd full of precious pills. Surely you won't leave me out." Fang Chen shot him an exasperated glare, and was just about to toss him one too, when the evil sword hovering before him emitted a piercing clang and trembled violently again. Mo Dinkian looked bewildered and muttered, "The artifact spirit's resentment has grown again." He stared at Fang Chen in astonishment, finally catching on, and sucked in a breath of cold air. "This artifact spirit seems unable to bear seeing you do well. Whenever you gain an advantage, it feels utterly miserable, and its resentment swells." Fang Chen nodded slightly. Indeed, that is so. He had harbored this suspicion earlier, and now, upon obtaining a gourd full of precious pills, the artifact spirit's resentment had changed once more, confirming the conjecture. Mo Dinkian's eyes shone brighter and brighter as he said excitedly, "In that case, the better your life gets, the more the artifact spirit can grow. You actually possess a rare growable artifact spirit. As long as your life keeps improving, this spirit can mature step by step. and it might even elevate the evil sword into a quasi-realm weapon. Fang Chen's heart suddenly swelled with joy. Originally, he had disdained the low level of this artifact spirit, but now it was nothing but pleasant surprises. Yet amidst his delight, a bizarre thought surfaced in his mind, and he couldn't help muttering to himself, "But why does this artifact spirit hate to see me do well?" Mo Dinkian stroked his beard and mused logically. Its soul has had its consciousness erased, and it no longer possesses any self-awareness. He raised his eyes to Fang Chen and added, "Unless, when it was alive, it hated you to the marrow of its bones." Fang Chen showed a puzzled expression. Could it be that it truly hated me to such an extent in life? Mo Dinkian brushed his beard and nodded. That is the only explanation. Without a hatred that tears at the heart and lungs, it wouldn't retain such a powerful instinctive resentment toward you. So, have you guessed who this artifact spirit is? Fang Chen looked blank, spreading his hands. Since when did I become so hateable? Although his methods were ruthless, he was never cruel and never tortured his opponents. He simply couldn't figure out whom he had provoked to leave such profound hatred in a soul. Suddenly, a vengeful and insidious villain surfaced from the depths of his memory. Fang Chen's heart skipped a beat. Could it be Chen Jing? He rapidly followed this thread. That fellow cultivated the inverse will, defying heaven, defying earth, defying everything. Whenever the slightest thing went against his wishes, he would go mad with defiance. Fang Chen's own comfortable life was a violation of his heart's desire, so his resentment naturally surged. The artifact spirit's relentless ferocity, refusing to relent until its last wisp of sword kai was spent, indeed carried a trace of the inverse will's nature. Moreover, Chen Jing had indeed died that day, but his soul had never been accounted for. A chain of clues locked together, and Fang Chen's expression immediately turned peculiar. He muttered in disbelief, "What the hell? The evil sword's artifact spirit is actually Chen Jing. That guy hated me to the bones, and in the end, he's going to be driven like an artifact spirit by me. Watching me get better and better. If he doesn't go mad, then what?" Thinking of this, Fang Chen reached out and patted the evil sword, laughing. "From now on, you'll obediently be my artifact spirit. Whether this sword can ascend to a quasi-saint weapon depends entirely on you." As if understanding human speech, the evil sword suddenly shuddered again, and the resentment it emitted surged even higher. Seeing this, Fang Chen couldn't help laughing deeper. If he were to show affection with Venerable Zhenyan right in front of the evil sword, Chen Jing would surely explode with rage, wouldn't he? Would that cause resentment to shoot to the limit overnight and help the evil sword instantly molt into a quasi-saint weapon? A hint of anticipation flashed in his eyes. He immediately took out the Bodhisattva Kaseya and tightly wrapped the sword. Then, using nascent soul power, he levitated it to hover behind his back, carrying it with him. He made up his mind. From now on, every happy moment of his life would be witnessed firsthand by Chen Jing. Fang Chen then had another doubt, but how could that guy's soul hide in the heavenly secret pavilion for so long? Logically, Chen Jing had been dead for over a month. His soul had lurked in the heavenly secret pavilion, and no one had noticed. He pondered and found a reason for the opponent. After all, he was a disciple of a divine transformation venerable, so it's not surprising if he had some hidden means. The reason he lay low and didn't leave was perhaps to seek revenge on me. Coincidentally, while I was away, he tried to seize the evil sword, only to have his consciousness washed away by the sword kai inside, completely becoming an artifact spirit. Yes, that must be it. In the crowd, Nengong Ziyuan was already drenched in cold sweat, her little head nodding ceaselessly, her heart drumming, yes, yes, yes. That's exactly it. Absolutely, no one ever hid Chen Jing's soul. She quietly breathed a sigh of relief, finally having escaped a calamity. After this experience, she no longer dared to make decisions on her own or show indiscriminate kindness. The master of the heavenly secret pavilion glanced lightly at the evil sword and said coldly, "Chen Jing has reaped what he sowed. This can be considered his deserved retribution." After a brief pause, he added also, "The Myriad Tribulations Sacred Hall has sent people to request your presence several times." Myriad Tribulations Sacred Hall? Fang Chen's heart stirred. Even if they hadn't invited him, he had originally intended to visit the Myriad Tribulations Sacred Hall. He wanted to see if there was still surplus thunder power there to fully charge the heavenly abyss heart. The taste of Six Paths unity and temporary divine transformation still lingered in his memory, endlessly enchanting. The pavilion master continued, "One last thing. Lu Zhu returned to the heavenly realm half a month after you left." "Lu Zhu? Fang Chen inwardly cursed, blurting out, then how will she explain back there? Lu Zhu descended to the lower realm this time to retrieve the head of the one who moved the heaven, connecting Black Pillar Venerable Heart Sin. Now she not only returns empty-handed, but the two-star giant king who secretly accompanied her has also fallen. Going back like this, would the five-star giant king let her off lightly? The pavilion master replied calmly. Before leaving, Lu Zhu said that you should bury Venerable Heart Sin's remains properly. She would ask the Grand Liquor Priest for help, seeking a divine transformation realm head to pass off as a deception. Fang Chen's expression darkened. New problems had surfaced. Next, he was going to move the heaven, connecting Black Pillar to the most perilous forbidden ground in Taking Great Prefecture. Once the pillar was moved, wouldn't Lu Zhu's lie be exposed on the spot? Now he could only hope that Lu Zhu was sharp enough not to rush back to the Black Sun Royal Court, but waited until after he had moved the pillar to report back. With that thought, a genuine worry rose in Fang Chen's heart, and he whispered, "You must take care to my wife Lu Zhu." Then he raised his gaze to the people present. One familiar face after another was before him. After a month apart, everyone's cultivation had once again undergone a qualitative leap. The Pavilion Master and the Enslaved Heart Demon Emperor had both advanced to 5 apertures nascent soul. Zia Keoj, Liu Qingxian, Hua Wying, and Yi Bangxia had all reached the 4 apertures nascent soul realm. Chu Yu, Liang Feiyan, Ren Guhong, Wang Chongling, Nangong Ziwoyan, Antai, Bone Kid, and Little Tiger had all stepped into the ranks of 3 apertures nascent soul. The 4 deputy pavilion masters, Yao Yunzi, Gu Huaxi, Yi Kangyuan, and Chen Zhengdao, were also stably at 2 apertures nascent soul. Even the 4 stewards who followed along Lin Yu, Hing, Yanyang, Ning Kan, and Liu Dengcheng had all successfully broken through to the nascent soul stage. Only Shang Shiqiu and Leng Qingzhu, the disciples under Yanyang, and Lin Yu, Heng's sole disciple, Yuan Qingsu, had yet to step into nascent soul. The 3 of them were still stuck at the peak of the 9th level of core formation. Yuan Qingsu looked a bit embarrassed by his gaze and smiled wryly. "I've made Deputy Pavilion Master Fang laugh." For someone her age, reaching the peak of the 9th level of core formation would be considered a top disciple in any sect of Taking Great Prefecture. Yet in the heavenly secret pavilion, she actually felt like she was holding the team back. Because aside from the 3 of them, everyone else was a nascent soul, exalted. Fang Chen smiled and flipped his hand to bring out the fate-altering jade butterfly. The 3 holes on the jade butterfly had already been filled with the souls of half-giants. He then took out a drop of divine transformation blood and pressed it firmly into the central hole. In an instant, a milky white heaven, piercing marrow, radiating brilliant light, dripped from the opening. Fang Chen handed it to Yuan Qingsu and said gently, "Go and make your breakthrough." Yuan Qingsu was an old acquaintance he had known since his days in the 9 sects continent. Giving it to her first was a way of honoring their old friendship. Indeed, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Shang Shiqiu placed her hands on her hips, bit her red lip, and stomped her foot in resentment, causing her ample bosom to jiggle. Leng Qingzhu, though far more reserved, also cast a quietly resentful glance his way. The 3 former prodigies of Heavenly Secrets Pavilion, Ren Guhong, Wang Chongling, and Yi Bangxia, were one thing. They had always been peerless geniuses, so she could hardly object. But Liang Feiyan, who had only barely gotten into the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion thanks to Fang Chen, had actually become a superior with a 3-orifice nascent soul. One could only say that those who stayed close to Fang Chen advanced exceptionally fast. Fang Chen gave a bitter laugh. "I have no more heaven, sir. Passing pills left. If I did, I would surely give them to you." A trace of regret arose in his heart. If he had known, he would have slain more half-giants in Heaven's ruined city and brought back more heaven, piercing marrow. For now, Shang Shiqiu and Leng Qingzhu would just have to wait a little longer. Having assessed everyone's cultivation, Fang Chen's gaze shifted meaningfully to Yi Bangxia. He could understand everyone else's progress. After all, with the tempering of the heavenly mountain battlefield and the resources he had brought back from the heavenly realm, their speed was reasonable. Only Yi Bangxia seemed somewhat eerie. She had broken through to the nascent soul realm before the heavenly mountain battlefield even opened, less than 2 months ago. But now she was already a 4-orifice nascent soul. In the blink of an eye, she had caught up to Hua Wying, Zia Keoj, and Liu Qingxian, who had advanced much earlier. This speed was truly terrifying. And when he recalled her mastery of formations able to transform the Asura Holy Sun's teleportation array into a grand formation linking all 7 sects of the 3 gods, Sect Feng, Chen felt increasingly that he could not see through this former senior sister of his. Banksia still wore a long black dress, sitting gracefully with crossed legs upon a floating jade, carved phoenix throne. She looked exactly like a black phoenix, elegant and noble. Sensing Fang Chen's gaze, she gave a soft snort and turned her face away with cold pride. Fang Chen was speechless. This woman truly hadn't changed one bit. He secretly resolved to find a chance to ask the Pavilion Master of Heavenly Secrets Pavilion just what Banksia's origins really were. After scanning everyone present, he suddenly frowned slightly. Why did it feel like someone was missing? After thinking for a long while, Fang Chen slapped his forehead and blurted out, "Where is Gu Zinner?" There are only 5 days until the battle, and she's still thinking about making money. As soon as he spoke, a roiling cloud came darting over from the horizon like a shooting star. I'm here, I'm coming now." The cloud landed gently before everyone, and a dainty, lovely figure nimbly jumped down. The adorable young girl wore her hair in a flying apsara bun, with pink ribbons fluttering in the wind, dressed in an orange-red double-breasted short, sleeved top and a goose, yellow long skirt. The newcomer was none other than Gu Zinner. She rolled her eyes at Fang Chen and snorted. "I've been out securing benefits for everyone, unlike some people who disappear for a whole month and still have the nerve to complain about me being gone." Focusing his gaze, Fang Chen was stunned to find that Gu Zinner had already broken through to the 5 orifice nascent soul. He couldn't help but be secretly amazed. The astonishing speed of the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion members was entirely due to Fang Chen generously sharing the great opportunities he had obtained. Gu Zinner rarely stayed at the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion, yet her cultivation speed was actually on par with the Pavilion Masters. It seemed there truly was the remnant soul of a mysterious, mighty figure aiding her within. If he wasn't mistaken, it was the remnant soul of the Crimson Fiend, Great Venerable. Fang Chen composed himself and asked solemnly, what benefits? Gu Zinner casually tossed a jade box to Fang Chen. "This is yours." Fang Chen caught it, opened the box to look, and his pupils violently constricted. He hastily took out the half of the orifice-opening divine nail passed down from the azure cloud sect and compared the two. They matched perfectly, fitting together flawlessly. Even more wondrous was that after a full 800 years, the two broken halves of the orifice-opening divine nail simply merged together upon contact, transforming into a brand new nail. Everyone present clicked their tongues in amazement. The Pavilion Master of Heavenly Secrets Pavilion was also astonished. What exactly was the origin of that 9-colored rain 800 years ago? All the orifice-opening divine nails in the world originated from that 9-colored rain 800 years ago where the raindrops fell. They became nails. Fairy Yunsheng gazed at the divine nail and said regretfully, "What a pity Fang Chen has not yet walked his own Tao and has not reached the eight-orifice nascent soul." Fang Chen gave a faint smile and slowly raised his palm. A strand of immense, peerless eight-orifice nascent soul power suddenly surged forth. Fairy Yunsheng's beautiful eyes widened, and she cried out in disbelief, "Fang Chen, you've already broken through the eight-orifice nascent soul." Liu Qingxian was also extremely excited. "What Tao are you cultivating?" The Heavenly Secrets Pavilion crowd was even more exclamatory. No one had expected Fang Chen to find his own Tao so quickly. Fang Chen laughed, pulled the two tighter, kissed each on their foreheads, and only said 2 words, "It's a secret." Just then a series of harsh, clanging sounds rang out as the evil sword behind Fang Chen began to violently shudder again. That grudge surged once more. Fang Chen chuckled, turned, and gave the evil sword a glance. "There are plenty more miserable times ahead for you." Having said that, he then looked to Gu Zinner and asked slowly, "Finding this half of the orifice opening divine nail must have taken a lot of effort, no?" Finding a nail that had been lost for 800 years was undoubtedly like searching for a needle in an ocean. It was by no means easily attainable. Gu Zinner raised her little head proudly and snorted. "Don't get me wrong, I wasn't helping you find it. This was found by the first rank Pavilion Master of Fang Mountain. He entrusted it to a friend of a friend of a friend, and finally, they asked me to pass it on to you." Fang Chen only smiled without a word. It was true that the first rank Pavilion Master of Fang Mountain had found it, but Gu Zinner must have put in considerable effort. Otherwise, why would the Pavilion Master have specifically entrusted her to deliver it? Fang Chen said sincerely, "Thanks, I owe you a huge favor." He tightly gripped the orifice-opening divine nail. This was the key to his breakthrough to 9 orifice nascent soul. Once his heart held no more regrets, he could step into that realm and quickly ascend to divinity. Gu Zinner raised an eyebrow smugly. It's rare to hear you say thanks. All right, Fang Chen's benefits are delivered. Next, the benefits for everyone. She playfully made her own sound effects, pulled out a jade case, and gesticulated animatedly. This is a sacred healing medicine from Pill Province, a 5th grade spirit pill. Heavenly Garment Divine Water, the cost price is 5 top grade crystal mines. But today, to repay your great love, fellow disciples, I'm going to make a decision that goes against my ancestors. That is selling it to you for 5 mid-grade crystal mines. How much? Fang Chen's mouth twitched violently. Cost price 5 top. Grade crystal mines wasn't that 500 million crystal stones. And the betray, my ancestors' price, was only 50 million. Who had this girl learned from to become so crooked? Wasn't she rather principled before? Now she even screws over her own people to the death. Gu Zinner completely did not feel she was being black-hearted and continued to shout animatedly, there are only 10 Heavenly Garment Divine Water Pills, only 10. To buy is to profit. Get your crystal mines ready. I'll count to 3, and then it's a mad dash. You must be quick, or you'll miss out. 3, 2, 1, let's go. Her words were still hanging on her lips when there was a crisp whack, and a sharp rap landed squarely on her forehead. Fang Chen gave her a hard flick on the forehead and scolded, Stop making a fool of yourself, cheating our own people. Is there no one in the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion you care about? Gu Zinner rubbed her head, baring her teeth in pain, but I'm seeking benefits for everyone. Fang Chen rolled his eyes at her, casually opened the jade gourd, and declared loudly, Watch closely, this is how you truly seek benefits. With a casual toss, 30 void-returning spirit pills instantly transformed into streaks of light and flew into the hands of each person present. Even the Western Sea Crown Prince and his wife Chuan, who had been huddling in the farthest corner, each received one. In the end, only 2 remained in his hand. Fang Chen stowed those 2 into his spatial storage device, then handed the recipe for the Heavenly Garment, Divine Water, to the Pavilion Master of Heavenly Secrets, Pavilion and sighed. Seriously, I must trouble the Pavilion Master to gather all the materials for this pill recipe, the more the better. I will refine the Heavenly Garment, Divine Water, for everyone. Everyone from the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion nodded one after another. The news that Fang Chen was a soul master was top secret to the outside world, but within the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion, it had long since spread privately. Gu Zinner stared blankly at the void-returning spirit pill floating before her, stunned. You also have a 5th grade spirit pill. And you're going to refine Celestial Garment Divine Water for everyone for free. If you do that, what about my 10 pills? I traded all my wealth for them. Fang Chen rolled his eyes at her. Keep them for the battlefield, little profiteer. With that, he then took out the Heavenly Demon's Remnant Dew and casually tossed it to the West Sea Crown Prince. Use this to break through to the Demon Emperor realm. At this moment, the West Sea Crown Prince's face was bruised and swollen, tears and mucus streaming down his face. Holding the Heavenly Demon's Remnant Dew, he was on the verge of tears. How many caddies of lard were my eyes smeared with back then, that for a single Heavenly Demon's Remnant Dew, I agreed to marry that Heavenly Realm Tyrannosaurus. If time could be reversed, I would definitely... Before he could finish, Chuan had already grabbed his ear with one hand, the other akimbo on her slender waist, baring her teeth. I'll give you one more chance to organize your words. The West Sea Crown Prince hastily amended, I will love my wife once again. Chuan snorted, is that from the heart? The West Sea Crown Prince, tears welling, tremblingly said, it's the truth from the bottom of my heart. And then he actually started whimpering. Chuan giggled, look at you, so moved you're crying. Don't worry, in this life I will never leave you nor forsake you. Upon hearing this, the West Sea Crown Prince sobbed even more bitterly. Fang Chen stifled a laugh and then produced several portions of Myriad Spirit's ancestral blood. As he distributed them, he said, this is a sacred relic that can enhance the bloodline of the demon race. Its effect is even stronger than 6 grade spirit pills. Absorb it quickly. I hope it will raise your strength to another level. This is for New Xin, this for the West Sea Crown Prince, this for Little Tiger, this for Turncoat, this for Chai, you. All the Myriad Spirit's ancestral blood, large and small, was distributed, leaving his hands completely empty. Fairy Yunsheng's expression went from anticipation to gradual disappointment. How could everyone else have some, yet she alone had none? She couldn't help but ask softly, is there none left? Fang Chen glanced sideways at her. Haven't I already given you enough? Fairy Yunsheng was scolded to the point of blushing deeply, biting her red lip, lowering her head, not daring to utter another word. Beside her, Liu Qingxian curled her lips in smug glee. Fairy Yunsheng usually enjoyed Fang Chen's exclusive favor, who would have thought she'd also get scolded. However, Fang Chen's next sentence made Liu Qingxian choke with rage. Fang Chen put on a stern face and announced loudly, "Come with me to the secret chamber. I want to inspect your cultivation progress." Liu Qingxian shoved Fang Chen away and snapped irritably, "If you want to give Fairy Yunsheng something nice in private, just say so. Who are you putting on a show for?" It was obvious he was scolding her in public, only to secretly reserve the best for Fairy Yunsheng. Having his mind read, Fang Chen coughed dryly and waved his hand. "All of you, disperse. There are 5 days left. Everyone prepare yourselves." After saying that, he led the blushing Fairy Yunsheng into the secret chamber. Faintly from outside came Gu Zinner's frantic hawking. Pavilion Master, do you really not want the celestial garment divine water? Just 4 mid-grade crystal mines. Sister Nu Zin, 3 mid-grade crystal mines. Clearance sale at a loss. Sister Zheoj, you're the kindest. You wouldn't watch your junior sister jump off a building, would you? Big brother Liang Feiyan. What's second? Hand recycling for 1 crystal stone. Turncoat. Ah, garbage disposal. You want me to give you a crystal mine? Boo, hoo. Why does Fang Chen always profit as a profiteer, while I lose so badly even dogs won't recognize me? Damned Fang Chen, you've cost me everything. I'll write this down in my little book. Inside the secret chamber, Fairy Yunsheng sat upright on the stone bed and finally couldn't help but smile. How does my Fang Lang plan to inspect me? Fang Chen no longer maintained his earlier sternness, and smiling, produced a large jade box. Sealed inside was a massive myriad spirits ancestral blood, fully 3 feet long. Fairy Yunsheng stared with wide eyes. What others received was but a strand as long as a finger, while the ancestral blood before her was several times that amount. She sprang to her feet, her eyes bursting with uncontrollable ecstasy. Thank you, Fang Lang. Fang Chen indeed intended to reserve the best opportunity for her. Fang Chen gestured with a hand pressing down, signaling her not to make a fuss, and said gently, "Your bloodline is the most precious, so it's only right that you gain the greatest enhancement." There were many people outside just now. If I gave it to you publicly, it would inevitably invite envy from others. That's why I scolded you in public. Please don't take it to heart. Fairy Yunsheng felt her heart and soul trembling. Deeply moved, she leaned back into his embrace. Her eyes completely reflected Fang Chen's figure. Emotionally, she said, "How could I not understand Fang Lang's kindness toward me? This battle with the ancient giants is fraught with mortal peril. I can only beg the heavens to let both Fang Lang and me survive, so that for the rest of my life, I may have the chance to repay this profound affection." Fang Chen reached out and gently lifted her smooth, snow-white chin, his eyes holding a trace of teasing amusement. "Oh, and how do you plan to repay me?" A faint blush spread across Fairy Yunsheng's cheeks. Her gaze flitted away, not daring to meet his, and her voice gradually lowered. "Didn't Fang Lang say you wanted to inspect? Then, inspect as you please." Fang Chen only smiled at that, saying nothing. The very next moment, he lowered his head and buried it deep in her bosom, following the scent to explore straight toward the intoxicating true whiteness hidden deep within. Let it be said that a day and a night passed. Fang Chen, in a daze, was suddenly startled by a crisp beep 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 sound. He laboriously moved his sore and numb arm, fumbling blindly on the floor for a while, until finally, from a jumbled pile of clothing, he found the source of the sound. It was his identity token. With effort, he lifted the token before his eyes. Squinting his weary eyes, he focused on it. It was an urgent message from the Imperial Astrology Bureau to all its members. On the light screen, only 2 enormous characters stood out, shocking to behold. 4 days. Fang Chen abruptly sat up. A tearing, full body soreness assaulted him instantly, nearly making him unsteady on his feet. He glanced sideways at Fairy Yunsheng, who was still in deep slumber beside him, and couldn't help but pull a wry smile. He sighed inwardly. I never expected that merely absorbing a small portion of the myriad spirit's ancestral blood could make the heavenly fox bloodline so powerful. It could entrap me for an entire day and night. The last time his physique was squeezed to such an extent could be traced back to when he had just broken through to the nascent soul stage. The terrifying improvement this myriad spirit's ancestral blood brought to bloodline aptitude was something no spirit pill or divine medicine could even hope to match. No wonder it was the supreme holy relic of the myriad demons state. After that night of frenzy, Fairy Yuncheng's cultivation had already advanced from 6. Orifice, nascent soul, directly to 7. Orifice, nascent soul. And as a reciprocating reward, the heavenly fox bloodline within Fang Chen also became richer and deeper by several degrees. Unfortunately, Fang Chen now had no opportunity to savor this gain further, because someone had arrived outside the stone door. Bang, bang, bang. Liu Qingxian was kicking the stone door without any courtesy, shouting angrily, "People from the Myriad Tribulation's sacred hall have come to visit. Your Majesty, the fatuous ruler, it's time for your court session." Fang Chen's mouth twitched violently. Not daring to delay, he hastily pulled on his clothes haphazardly. Carefully, he pulled the secret chamber's stone door open just a crack wide enough for him to slip through sideways. He slithered out like a fish, then lightning, fast shut the door seamlessly tight again. Liu Qingxian saw this and snorted softly through her nose. "So paranoid, afraid I'll see how messy it is inside. Relax, this lady has zero interest in your private life." Fang Chen remained utterly silent. He directly stepped forward, reached out, and wrapped his arm around Liu Qingxian's shoulder, actually leaning most of his body weight onto her. Liu Qingxian's face reddened slightly, and her body squirmed a little involuntarily. This was truly the sun rising from the west. Since Fang Chen's return this time, he seemed much more affectionate toward her. This was already the second time he'd embraced her like this. She knew that before, he had always been reserved and proper with her. Still, deep down, she thoroughly enjoyed this feeling of close embrace with Fang Chen, even if her mouth still refused to show mercy. She snorted, "What, that vixen Yunshang isn't enough for you? You still need to come and take advantage of me." Fang Chen helplessly said, "It's not that." "Then what?" Fang Chen honestly confessed, "It's, my legs have no strength left. I need to trouble you to support me a little." Liu Qingxian's nose nearly went crooked with anger upon hearing this. Her willow leaf eyebrows shot up sharply. Instinctively, she jabbed an elbow toward Fang Chen's stomach. But just as she was about to touch him, her heart softened at the last moment. She couldn't bring herself to be ruthless. Gritting her teeth, she withdrew her hand and instead dutifully supported Fang Chen, saying bitterly, "You bastard. I think from now on you can only make love to her at noon, because sooner or later you're going to die in her bed." Meanwhile, in the main hall, Lord Qianglu, Hall Master of the Myriad Tribulation's Sacred Hall, and Lord Sanqian, Dean of the Madhouse, both figures of immense status, now had faces as black as the bottom of a pot, glaring wordlessly at Song Ling Yu seated across from them. Song Ling Yu felt her skin crawl under their stares. She cleared her throat dryly and said disgruntledly, "I didn't deliberately use Hua Wying as collateral. It was just that I couldn't gather enough soaring sky pills at the time and had no way to redeem her. Now that I've gathered the pills, as soon as I got word, didn't I come immediately?" Her scalp tingled incessantly. Her original plan had been to secretly redeem Hua Wying, so that the disgraceful matter of using her disciple as debt collateral would remain unknown to anyone. But as fate would have it, things didn't go as hoped. This time, when she used spirit herbs obtained from the Myriad Demons province to exchange for soaring sky pills with Lord of the 6 departments, she carelessly let the secret slip. The news seemed to sprout wings of its own. Within just half a day, from the lowliest disciples to the venerable heart demon, everyone high and low knew about it. The utterly absurd act of a master using her own disciple as debt collateral directly incurred the thunderous wrath of the venerable heart demon. She was summoned and subjected to a blistering tongue lashing. Lord Qianglu, as the hall master managing the sect, and Lord Sanqian, as the dean responsible for 8 aperture nascent soul cultivators like her, were also not spared. Both were called over. The 3 were scolded so furiously that it felt like being drenched in dog's blood. After much difficulty, upon learning that Fang Chen had returned today, the venerable heart demon immediately dispatched the 2 to accompany Song Lingyu to redeem Hua Wying. The Myriad Tribulation's Sacred Hall truly could not afford to lose face like this. Lord Sanqian, his face dark with anger, said with bitter remorse, "Why didn't you say so earlier? If you had told us sooner, we would have sold everything we had to redeem Hua Wying, a master pawning her disciple. It's an unheard of scandal throughout history. If this gets out, the face of our Myriad Tribulation's Sacred Hall will be utterly lost." Lord Qianglu, also dark-faced, echoed, "Hua Wying was such a promising seedling." At just 17, she had already broken through to the 9th layer of core formation, making her the strongest prodigy of our Myriad Tribulation's Sacred Hall. Being held as collateral at the Heavenly Secret Pavilion, could she possibly have a good life? The Heavenly Secret Pavilion is a newly established sect. They themselves lack the opportunities to break through to nascent soul, so how could they have extras for her? Wouldn't this be a waste of Wang's future? Hearing this, Song Lingyu was full of shame. She covered her face in anguish. I was wrong. 3 caddies of lard must have clouded my mind for me to do such a wretched thing as trading my disciple for treasures. My poor disciple is probably still at the 9th layer of core formation, toiling like an ox and horse in the Heavenly Secret Pavilion. When she returns this time, I will do everything in my power to make it up to her. Before her words had faded, outside the hall, a slender young girl in a floral dress was seen laughing merrily as she chased a small dragon, a russet, colored little beast, and a light Titiali tiger running past. When the 3 heard her laughter and looked together, they could only catch a fleeting glimpse of her back as she dashed past. Lord Sankian's pupils sharply contracted, a look of shock appearing on his face. Judging by her age, she's probably just in her teens, right? But the aura emanating from her body is actually at the cultivation base of a 4. Aperture nascent soul. How is that possible? Lord Qionglu also watched in repeated amazement, stroking his beard and saying, with such talent, by the time she turns 20, she will be more than qualified to rank among the 18 prodigies of Taikang. Nay, even taking first place among the 18 prodigies would be effortless. Without exaggeration, this girl is truly the undisputed number 1 heavenly pride of our Taikang province. I never expected such a person to emerge from the small Heavenly Secret Pavilion, But the more I look at that back, the more it resembles our myriad tribulations, sacred holes, Hua Wying. Clang! A dull thud rang out. Lord Qionglu and Lord Sankian immediately followed the sound, only to see Song Lingyu had shot to her feet in shock. Because the movement was so abrupt and burst with such sudden force, the heavy chair beneath her was even knocked over onto the ground. She stared in disbelief at the direction where the girl had vanished, crying out in shock, that is Hua Wying. How could she not recognize her own disciple? Clang, clang. 2 more muffled thuds followed in succession. Lord Qionglu and Lord Sankian both shot to their feet in simultaneous shock, their chairs springing back and toppling over one after another. Their eyes revealed undisguised horror. Lord Qionglu's voice even changed pitch. You didn't mistake her. This fellow cultivator of the 4 aperture nascent soul is truly our myriad tribulations, sacred halls, Hua Wying. Lord Sankian swallowed hard and shook his head in disbelief, denying it. Don't talk nonsense. Although that girl Hua Wying has high aptitude, she absolutely cannot be this monstrous. In just 3 short months, to skyrocket from the 9th layer of core formation to 4, aperture nascent soul. How could she possibly do that? Song Lingyu, however, had no mind to explain to them. Slapping her thigh, she directly chased after her. From afar, she urgently shouted loudly, Wying, Wying, my disciple. Hua Wying, who had been chasing the little rebel, the little Killen, and the little tiger in play ahead, suddenly stopped in her tracks upon hearing that exceptionally familiar voice. She turned her head and saw Song Lingyu's familiar face, deeply etched in her memory, instantly reflected in her eyes. Hua Wying was dumbstruck on the spot. In an instant, all the grievances and bitterness she had been suppressing for days surged uncontrollably like a breached dam. How long had it been? How long already? In those lonely and helpless nights, she had thought her master had cruelly abandoned her forever in the Heavenly Secret Pavilion. Thinking of this, tears could no longer be held back and burst forth from her eyes. She picked up her skirt and flew forward, throwing herself into Song Lingyu's arms, crying out with grievance, Master, your disciple thought you didn't want me anymore. Song Lingyu's heart was torn apart by her cries. She was overwhelmed with sorrow and guilt, feeling utterly ashamed. She tightly stroked Hua Wying's head, her voice choked with emotion. Wying, I'm sorry. It's my incompetence that caused you to suffer so much out there, you. How did you manage to endure these days? The mere thought of the scenes of abuse Hua Wying might have suffered at the Heavenly Secret Pavilion made Song Lingyu feel as if a knife were cutting her heart. Hua Wying sobbed in her arms, saying intermittently, Master, do you know, when I broke through to the nascent soul realm, Fang Chen personally protected me. During those days at the Heavenly Secret Pavilion, Hua Wying ate top-grade spirit fruits from the heavenly realm and drank celestial ambrosia and spirit nectar. When cultivating, she enjoyed the most top-tier resources in Taikang Province, whether secret treasures seized from the heavenly mountain battlefield or spoils of war that Fang Chen had forcibly taken from the hands of spirit transformation venerables. Whenever she had difficulties she didn't understand, she could ask the ice, via Demon Lord, who had passed the 2 declines of heaven and man, for guidance at any time. When not cultivating, she would play to her heart's content with the mischievous little tiger, the tsundere little rebel, and the adorably naive little Killen. Here, no one insulted her, let alone ordered her to do chores. Around her were only kind and beautiful elder sisters, amiable and humorous elder brothers, and that refined and gentle pavilion master. As she spoke, the tears on Hua Wang's face unknowingly stopped. She blinked her big eyes, still glistening with tears, and murmured in a daze, "WH, what kind of divine life am I living?" Then what was I crying about just now? Song Lingyu, listening at the side, was completely stupefied. What kind of divine life is this? Living as collateral at the heavenly secret pavilion, life could actually be this heaven, defyingly good. She couldn't help but have a fleeting thought. She wished she could mortgage herself here too, and just retire on the spot. Lord Sanqian and Lord Qionglu were equally dumbfounded. A mere collateral item could actually live such a comfortable and wonderful life. With full protection and support, she had been forcibly propelled from the 9th layer of core formation all the way to 4, aperture nascent soul. She had been molded into the first female prodigy whose brilliance astounded the entire world. Fortunately, Lord Qionglu still remembered their mission. He snapped back to attention, cleared his throat forcefully, and said solemnly, "Hua Wang, we have come to escort you back to the Myriad Tribulations Sacred Hall. Pack your things. Once your master settles the debt, you can return to the sect's embrace." Upon hearing this, Hua Wang felt as if a bucket of cold water had been poured over her head, instantly snapping her to her senses. Go back? Even a dog wouldn't go back. She hastily shoved Song Lingyu aside and retorted, her voice tight, "Go back where?" I don't even know you." Before she even finished speaking, she turned on her heel and fled as if oiled. Her frantic demeanor made it seem as if she feared being knocked out and dragged away on the spot if she delayed even a breath. Song Lingyu and the other 2 stood frozen like stone statues, a single thought filling their minds. She's been working off her debt so long she doesn't even want to go home. Just as they were about to give chase, Liu Qingxian walked over slowly while supporting Fang Chen. The moment perfected Qionglu and perfected Sanqian saw Fang Chen, their expressions turned deeply respectful. Fang Chen's glorious battles against the Heartgrudge Venerable, the 2, Star Giant King, and the Soul Transformation Venerable of Young Emperor Mountain had long since spread his formidable reputation far and wide. Now, no one dared treat him as an ordinary junior anymore. Paying respects to Vice Pavilion Master Fang, the 2 bowed in unison. Fang Chen returned the courtesy neither humbly nor arrogantly, swept his gaze over the 3, and asked, "You 3 have come a long way. What business do you have?" Song Lingyu's face showed embarrassment as she produced 4 sky-soaring pills, swirling with spiritual energy, and forced a smile. "Vice Pavilion Master Fang, I have come to redeem my disciple. We still owe you 3 sky-soaring pills. This extra one is merely the interest." Hearing this, a surge of anger instantly flared up in Fang Chen's heart. He sneered, "So you still remember your disciple is with me, after all." When he first activated his tyrant identity, the very first deal he made was this money, losing credit business. And it ended up a total loss, not even recovering his capital. How many rare resources had Hua Wang consumed from him? How could a mere few sky-soaring pills ever make up for that? However, his thoughts shifted. Shang Shikyu and Leng Qingzhu currently needed an opportunity to break through to the nascent soul realm. These 4 sky-soaring pills arrived at just the right moment. Only then did he reluctantly stretch out his hand to accept the pills and wave dismissively, "Hurry up and take that debt collateral off my hands." Just looking at her annoys me. It had always been him who scammed others. He never expected to get scammed so badly himself. Song Lingyu smiled bitterly and said helplessly, "She refuses to leave." Could Vice Pavilion Master Fang help persuade her? Oh. Fang Chen's mood instantly improved a little. After all, Hua Wang had at least stepped into the mid-nascent soul stage and possessed the battle power to resist ancient giants. If she truly stayed at the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion, she would undoubtedly become a significant asset. So raising this debt collateral wasn't in vain after all. He immediately spread his hands, an innocent look on his face. "That's beyond my control. If she doesn't want to leave, I can't very well drive her away, can I?" Song Lingyu's chest tightened with frustration. Gritting her teeth, she said, "Then allow us to go in and find her and bring her back by force." Fang Chen, however, unhurriedly shook his head in refusal. Our heavenly mechanism pavilion has many forbidden areas not suitable for outsiders to wander recklessly. Please understand.
Huh?
Now Song Lingyu understood completely. Fang Chen wanted to swallow the sky-soaring pills and not return the person. He was blatantly reneging on the debt. Her fist suddenly clenched, heart blazing with fury, but in the end, she forcefully suppressed her rage and chose to remain calm. Forget it. Since Wang wants to stay at the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion, so be it. Song Lingyu sighed deeply and magnanimously let go. Life is short with more sorrow than joy. There's truly no need to get angry over this. Of course, the main reason was that she couldn't beat Fang Chen. Perfected Qionglu heavily thumped his chest, forcefully swallowing his grievances, and cupped his hands. Vice Pavilion Master Fang, a month ago, our Venerable wished to invite you to the Myriad Tribulations Sacred Hall for a talk. He has an important matter to discuss with you in person. Would Vice Pavilion Master Fang be willing to make the trip? Without a second thought, Fang Chen agreed readily. I had already planned to visit the Myriad Tribulations Sacred Hall in the coming days. I will arrive within 3 days. Perfected Qionglu's spirits suddenly soared. He hurriedly said, Then we shall await your esteemed arrival at the Myriad Tribulations Sacred Hall. The three cupped their hands in unison, forcibly swallowing their grievances, and turned to leave. After they had gone far, Liu Qingxian sighed softly and murmured, You just got back, and now you have to leave again. Fang Chen gently held her soft, slender hand and said apologetically, I'm sorry, I spend far too little time with you. Liu Qingxian shook her head, her tone carefree, I'm no fussy moon pearl, I don't need such melodrama. From the day we met until now, has there been a day when you weren't busy? I've long since gotten used to it. She instead gripped Fang Chen's hand tightly, her brows and eyes filled with heartache. I just feel that you are too tired. That tender sentence struck directly into the softest part of Fang Chen's heart, stirring a deep sense of being understood. What moves a man most in this world might be a peerless beauty, but it can also be words that seep deep into the soul like this. In that moment, Fang Chen vaguely seemed to see again that senior sister from Azure Cloud sect who had taken care of him everywhere. He lowered his head and gently kissed Liu Qingxian's smooth forehead, whispering hoarsely, Thank you. Senior Sister Liu. That long, mist address made Liu Qingxian's heart tremble, and memories of the past instantly surfaced in her mind. She slowly released Fang Chen's hand, her gaze firm and bright. Go. Like the battle at Boundary Mountain, go fight for the fate of the human race. But this time, I will stay by your side and fight shoulder to shoulder. Fang Chen nodded heavily, a similar flame igniting in his eyes. All right, we fight side by side. He carefully gave instructions regarding pavilion affairs and intentionally left behind 3 sky-soaring pills. Only then did he summon a floating cloud and streak away towards the underground palace's teleportation array. Jian family? What is this? Jian Weishuang pointed at a picture on the blackboard and asked coldly. Jian Linyuan knelt on the ground, bruised and swollen, his gaze flickering nervously as he answered in a trembling voice, It's an apple. Without a word, Jian Weishuang pulled out a small spiked mace from her waist and fiercely smashed it into Jian Linyuan's forehead, bellowing, useless thing that never learns. Remember this. It's a large, stemmed, slightly red and luscious apple. After speaking, she pointed to another picture of a pear. And what is this? Jian Linyuan forced a smile uglier than crying. This is a crystal, clear, yellow, spotted, juicy, and tender little snow pear. Jian Weishuang grabbed the spiked mace again and mercilessly struck him once more, causing stars to burst before his eyes. This is just a crystal pear.
Damn it.
Jian Linyuan clutched his swollen and bulging forehead, suddenly scrambled to his feet and roared, If you want to murder your own brother, just say it. Jian Weishuang folded her arms and sneered, Beating your younger brother must be done early. In case you ever get some damned luck and break through to nascent soul realm, it'll be hard to beat you then. Ever since Jian Linyuan tricked her into that spatial mirror, a deep blood feud had been forged between the siblings. Jian Weishuang found all sorts of ways to deal with Jian Linyuan. As it happened, she had broken through to 4 aperture nascent soul, instantly becoming one of the top female prodigies of the Jian family. The family then assigned her to guide Jian Linyuan's martial cultivation. And what a perfect opportunity for personal vengeance. It delivered itself right to her doorstep. You violent woman, I curse you to never marry. Jian Linyuan was so furious his nose bent out of shape. Jian Weishuang shrugged indifferently. Even better, then I can beat you for a lifetime. Jian Linyuan ground his teeth audibly and said hatefully, "Which damned soul helped you break through to 4 aperture nascent soul?" Since Jian Weishuang stepped into this realm, she stood alongside Jian Linyu as the brightest among the family's younger generation, her status skyrocketing. And he, stuck at the perfection of core formation 9th layer, could only live as a punching bag. "Senior brother Jian, how come I just entered, and I hear you cursing me?" Suddenly, a teasing voice drifted over. Jian Linyuan instinctively turned his head, his eyes instantly showing shock. Vice Pavilion Master Fang. For a moment, a mix of emotions surged in his heart, extremely complicated. He had long since inquired about the heavenly mechanism pavilion's recent situation. Apart from Leng Qingzhu and 2 others, the rest had all broken through to the nascent soul realm. Even Liang Feiyan, whose cultivation was once far below his, had already reached 3 aperture nascent soul. The decision to withdraw from the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion and return to the Jian family, in hindsight, was a catastrophic failure. Jian Weishuang's beautiful eyes lit up, and she strode forward with a hearty laugh. "Hey, you're quite impressive now, even able to slay a deity transformation cultivator." Her words were tinged with deep emotion. The little core formation cultivator she had once nearly sent rolling like a gourd with a single kick had now reached heights that even she could only gaze up at in awe. Fang Chen's gaze fell on the little wolf Fang Club clutched in her hand, the corner of his mouth lifted as he teased with a smile. "Senior brother Jian surviving until now is truly no easy feat." Jian Weishuang gave a nonchalant snort, squeezing a few words out through her nose. "He deserves it." No sooner were the words out than Jian Linyuan, as if grabbing at a life, saving straw, suddenly darted behind Fang Chen and pleaded urgently in a hushed voice, "Vice Pavilion Master. Our Fang, please take me away. I can't stay in this house a moment longer." Fang Chen couldn't help but chuckle. With a casual flick of his hand, he tossed a pill over to him. Jian Linyuan instinctively caught it with both hands. He stared at it, and in an instant, his eyes widened. He gasped in shock. "A sky-soaring pill. This is for me." 3 full months of the ancient giant cataclysm had already caused all the major divine sects and religious orders to exhaust their nascent soul resources completely. Now, even if one scoured the entire take in Great Prefecture, it would be near impossible to gather 10 sky-soaring pills. The weight of this one pill before him was so immense that words were unnecessary. Fang Chen patted him on the shoulder. His tone was gentle yet solemn. "As fellow disciples, I'll help you this far. Breaking through to nascent soul now depends entirely on you." Jian Linyuan's heart shook violently. A burning surge of gratitude nearly burst from his chest. For the short-lived bond of brotherhood they'd shared years ago, Fang Chen had actually repaid it with a precious sky-soaring pill. His eyes suddenly reddened and his voice trembled. "Vice Pavilion Master Fang, I truly cannot repay such great kindness. How about you take my sister away with you? Consider it my repayment." "Hey!" Fang Chen shot him a sidelong glare and cursed inwardly. This cur, how dare he repay kindness with malice? Without a word, Jian Weishuang snatched up the wolf, Fang Club, and brought it crashing down on him, chasing Jian Linyuan around the room as he covered his head and scurried like a rat, howling in pain. "Useless wretch." She dusted off her hands, turned to Fang Chen, and said briskly, "You've helped my little brother so much, I can't let you suffer a loss. Last time you meditated on that Orokin sealing technique from the arena, you only just grasped the first layer. Today, I'll make the decision. You can go comprehend it again." Fang Chen had personally come to the Giant family precisely to continue comprehending the selfless purification art. Once the first layer of this art was perfected, it could completely conceal one's presence from the perception of nascent soul cultivators. The perfected second layer could hide from the probes of deity transformation cultivators. The perfected third layer could even evade the spiritual senses of mighty Sage Realm experts. Last time, due to various unforeseen circumstances, he had only managed to comprehend the first layer.